This film contains discussions around incel culture, hate speech, misogyny, and sexual relationships.
People who are in incel communities are not evil individuals. They're individuals who have fallen down those rabbit holes, and they become angrier and angrier. But it can happen to any of us.
I'm invisible. Women don't see me. Now you see me. Soon they'll all see me.
My name is Angus Castle-Doughty, and I play Eric Foster on Hollyoaks. In this documentary, we're going to explore what turns someone into an incel.
An incel, well, incel stands for involuntary celibate, a group of mainly heterosexual men who spread hate against women and extreme misogynistic beliefs.
They feel left out of relationships and society more generally, and they take to the internet to find community and understanding.
When we're talking about misogynistic hate against women, the incel community is a crucial driver of intense misogynistic hate online.
Once inside these communities, loneliness can be transferred into hate and aggression, and in some cases, a desire for revenge.
They lie and connive to take our power. We need to punish them. And take back our power by any means necessary.
I think it's important dramatizing something on TV and playing a character and raising awareness that way. This level of responsibility that I've been afforded, I feel outside of the show as well. And I feel like I'm in a unique position to be able to actually do something to help. But I really want to get a point of view of the level of threat we might be facing if these thoughts go unchallenged and these communities are allowed to foster and develop. I want to get an idea of, okay, if this is where we're at now, what can we do to change things going forward?
So are you seeing a rise in these misogynistic thoughts and ideologies in young people specifically?
What it means to be male has changed so significantly, certainly in relation to incels. I think there is this sort of inability to place themselves or an identity crisis. So they're struggling to kind of know who they are.
Young men are feeling scared of a loss of control in what is a very bleak time for all young people. An incel allows them to articulate the fear and anger they have about that reality.
It's almost like an extremist cult, but dressed up as a self-help group. They're looking for answers as to why their life is stuck.
It's not the hatred of women, it's the hatred of the fact they can't get one. But then that's externally placed into all women. What they're craving at the very heart of it is to be able to have that normal life. You know, it's how they feel about their ability to have a successful sexual relationship with somebody.
Someone like me can never succeed, can never have sex, can never have a relationship, even if I wanted to. Sometimes, I wish I could force them to understand.
What your story really exemplifies is something that we call the echo chamber. So when you consume high dosages of any type of content, but in this case, hateful, extreme content, it becomes normalized for you. Then you begin to think that not only is it right, but other people think this way too. The thing about incel content, it becomes normalized for individuals, but it's also dark and depressing. So it's kind of the antithesis of a self-help group.
When we're sort of thinking and plotting about someone's radicalization through this, isolation is a crucial factor.
People are lonely. Historically, children would have gone outside to play, to find friends, to seek friendship. And now they're going online to seek friends, but that's so dangerous because they don't know who they're actually talking to at the end, so you've got the whole wide world there.
At the moment, I would say that there are not enough positive support spaces for young men who are experiencing issues with their mental health right now. Of course, that's not to say that this radicalization is entirely pinned to mental health, but That's a key part of it.
They are lonely people who are looking for support, and they haven't found that support in the offline space. And so they've come to the digital to find that help, and it's made them worse.
You said she kept ignoring you and acting like she was so special. Really? Girls like that know what they're doing. She deserved to be punished. Maybe you're right. People like us need to stick together.
Of course, the pandemic was a time when a lot of us were isolated, a lot of us were scared, a lot of us were looking for answers as to why our lives had changed so significantly. And we were also all inside, right? Using our smartphones, using our computers as the main ways in which we interacted with our friends, with our families.
Everything's so plugged in. Everything is so divisive, just generally, that it must be a problem that is just increasing with severity.
So we don't yet know the impact of scrolling through our phones. We all have anxieties about missing out on things. An incel, yes, takes those feelings to the extreme, but I think we can identify with small bits of it.
The worst kind of media, I'd say, is the media that we have access to on our phones. It's really quite terrifying when you look into it.
People who are in incel communities are not evil individuals. They're individuals who have fallen down those rabbit holes, and they become angrier and angrier. But it can happen to any of us.
We aren't going to feel like we're being impacted by our mobile phone, but we are, without really realising it. And you have to really sort of become consciously aware of the link between, oh, every time I go on that, I feel unwell.
So you could just have 1 or 2 days that you're feeling down, that you're feeling angry, and you find yourself maybe onto a platform. The algorithm will take that, so it will continuously be fed back to you. That one day has given a tiny seed for the algorithm. That is one part of the problem. We are not holding social media companies accountable.
Hey guys, it's Eric Foster, one of the forgotten ones, like you. That's why, after years of judgment, neglect, abandonment, I've decided to make these vile, stuck-up witches laugh on the other sides of their faces.
People being stuck in that space or stuck in that online space doesn't mean they're going to be stuck in that way of thinking for the whole of their life. There is a way through it. I think that requires positive alternatives. Have those conversations in a positive and constructive way, those conversations around mental health.
One type of intervention is you get older boys mentoring younger boys. This is amazingly helpful, and you can imagine how that would be really helpful to have that type of role modeling.
Yeah, you always look up to older kids.
Then there's something broader that I think needs to happen, and that is teaching young people how to be critical of the digital space, critical of what you're consuming. And then finally, I think what we need to move towards is getting boys and girls together to work on co-creating new codes of ethics for the online world in which they live, because we have not stopped to do that. Technology is always pressing forward, but rarely do we come back and think, how do we want to live in this new world? We have those built in for our offline world, but we haven't done that yet.
I think ultimately it comes down to education, doesn't it? You know, I think with incels, it's not something that people are commonly aware of.
These are people who might really struggle offline. Why can't we try and create those positive, nurturing environments online? I think that's a real gap.
Incel is just one symptom of a much bigger problem. And that problem is we are letting our young people down when it comes to online usage. The answer is not to stop them engaging. That would completely cut off their social life. But we need to help them with best practices. Young people are just a barometer for the climate in which they live, and you can't blame them for the weather.
I found meeting all three of the experts really quite illuminating. One of the big takeaways is where we have to meet young men in order to actually do something that will affect a positive change. We talk about talking to boys, talk to your friends, engage with people, but it's always in the sense of talking to each other in person. Actually, I think the most beneficial thing to do would be to talk to people in digital spaces. Maybe all of the radicalization at the moment is being done through these digital spaces, through social media. So separating ourselves from that world in order to try and change things doesn't make any sense. I think it's given me some hope doing the documentary, with a growing awareness of it and a greater understanding of actually how these groups are operating. And I think we can do something that will actually have a profound impact and maybe even neutralize a growing threat. For help and support on any of the issues raised, please visit channel4.com/Hollyoaks-support.